Alright, I'm going to go over MAT 200 Module 4 practice test. If you have any questions and you don't understand what's going on with the practice test, just let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. If you feel like I'm going too fast, just remember this is a recording and you can pause it and then get yourself caught up and then move on. Alright, number 1, identify 9x plus 6x squared minus 4 as a monomial, binomial, or trinomial, then give the degree of the polynomial. Alright, so remember, a term is what's separated by pluses and minuses, so in this case we have 3 different terms. So 3 would be a trinomial. And then the degree of your polynomial is the highest exponent that you see in your terms. So in this case, our degree is 2. Alright, number 2, see, we want to subtract as indicated, or add, sorry. So as long as this is an addition, these parentheses don't matter. So really we're just putting together things that are alike. So we have 7x plus 6x cubed, so that's 13x cubed. So those are done. We have 3x squared, take away 2x squared, so that's a positive 1x squared. We have a minus 5 plus 4, so that's minus x, or minus 1x. And then minus 11 plus minus 13, so that's negative 24. And as long as these terms are all different, then you have combined as best as you can. Alright, number 3. Here we're subtracting, so when there's a subtraction outside of a parenthesis, that means that all the signs on the inside are going to get that negative, and basically what that means is it changes all the signs to the opposite. So I go ahead and I just rewrite it with the opposite signs. So this was positive, now it's negative. This was negative, now it's positive. This is negative, so now it's positive. This was positive, so now it's negative. And then we can combine just like we did on number 2. So we have 9x cubed minus 4x cubed. So that's 5x cubed. So those are gone. We have 6x squared negative and a positive 8x squared. So that's a positive 2x squared. We have a minus 11 and a positive 13, so that's a plus 2. And then a minus 4, minus 5, so that's a minus 9. And all our terms are different, so we're good. So same thing with number 4, I'm just going to rewrite it. With all the second terms, second parentheses having opposite terms. Now the only way we can put them together is if they are identical in their variables. So we have C4D. So here's a C4D and here's a C4D. So we have 2 take away 1, which is 1. Gone, gone. C squared D squared. C squared D squared. So we have 3 take away 8, so that's minus 5. So just remember the ending is just kind of like a label when you're adding and subtracting. D squared, so minus 4 plus 5, so that's a plus 1. And that's your final answer. Alright, number 5, find each product. So the rules on this was to add your exponents if you're multiplying your products, or if you're multiplying your terms. So first do your coefficients, so negative 7 times 5. Keep your variable, your base, and then add your exponents. So our answer to number 5 is 35x to the 11th. Number 6, we want to FOIL or distribute. 6 times 8 is 48. X squared times x3, we add them. 6x squared times negative 5 is 30. X squared times x is x3. 6x squared times negative 2 is negative 12. And since there is no variable on that one, it just comes to the end. Alright, number 7, we want to FOIL. So first times first, first times last, and as such. So you should have 4 products and you should have to simplify. So x times x, x times 2, 7 times x, 7 times 2. Then we want to combine like terms. This is the traditional way to write the order. However, you can write it in any order and it still will honestly still be correct. But the math books usually like to go to the highest exponents to the lowest, and then constants are always last. Alright, number 8. Our coefficients, 2 times 1. And then we have w squared, there's no other w's. x3 and x4, so add them together. y1 times y5 is add them together. Number 9, be careful on this. When you see a squared, it just means that is multiplied twice. So don't distribute your 2. When there's more than one term in the parentheses, you cannot distribute your 2. You have to FOIL it. So x squared times x squared times 3, 3 times x squared, 3 times 3. Combine your middle terms. Number 10, we want to plug in. That's what evaluate means. Plug in the values they give you for your variables. So for everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put a negative 2. Everywhere I see a y, I put a 3. I always keep them in parentheses. That way when a letter is next to a number, you know that you're going to be multiplying. So order of operations says exponents first. So 4 times negative 2 squared is 4. I'm just going to rewrite everything else. And then we are multiplying before we do our addition and subtraction. So 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 3 is 48. 5 times 2, negative 2 is negative 10. Negative 10 times 3 is negative 30. And 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. And if we simplify this, we have 48 plus negative 30, which is subtract. So that's positive 18. And positive 18 plus 12 is 30. Number 11, when we divide, we take care of coefficients like I always do, and then our exponents are subtracted. So negative 25 divided by 5 first, that's negative 5. And then we have x16 and x4, so we'll subtract those. As long as it's positive, we're going to keep it right where it's at. Alright, number 12. So let me set this up. Now when we are just doing a monomial, it's just each term divided by that monomial. Number 13 has to be set up as a long division problem. Alright, so basically this is just 3 division problems. So that's kind of like the long way. So first take care of the coefficient. That's 8. Subtract our exponents. Take away coefficient, exponents, plus coefficient, and x3 divided by x3 is 1, so we don't need to write 1 because 4 times 1 is still going to be 4. Alright, so let's set this one up. Alright, so division of a long division of polynomials is very similar to long division of just regular numbers. You just have more guys tagging along. Alright, so x going into x squared. So if you have to write that off to the side just to see what you're doing, and remember we subtract, so it goes in there x times. Once you put your number up here, then it's multiplying by these guys on the outside of the divisor. So x times x is x squared, x times 9 is positive 9. This should always line up when it comes to the variables and the exponents. So if this came out to like 3 or 1, then there's something wrong. Alright, your next thing is to subtract. When you subtract, you're changing the signs of both. This should always equal 0. Alright, 14 take away 9 is 5. And then bring down. Now we're doing back the same thing. X goes into 5x, positive 5 times. So if this is a positive, this will be a positive. If this is a negative, this will be a negative. 5 times x, 5 times 9, subtract 0, 0. So we have no remainder on here, so the answer is simply x plus 5. Alright, number 14. So whenever you have a negative exponent, switch its spots. So when I put this into the denominator, it becomes positive. If I put this into the numerator, it becomes positive. Then we can simplify it. 4 times 4 times 4. 64. So that is our final answer. We don't have coefficients on here, so we're not really doing 4 divided by 5. You only do the actual division when you have a coefficient. This is actually the base to this exponent. Alright, number 15. On the top, everybody is being squared, so let's do that first. 5 squared is 25. And then remember, raising a power to a power is multiplying your exponents. That's a good start, but since we still have the same base in your numerator and denominator, we want to go a step further. So 25 doesn't change, but we have 8 take away 12, so that becomes a negative 4. Negative exponents in math are bad things, so we put it at the bottom and it becomes positive. The 25 stays at the top because it does not have a negative exponent. Alright, number 16, everything is being cubed, so let me just start by writing that first. So we have 2 to the third power, which is 8. 8 to the third power cubed, so that's multiplied. And then this is negative 125 over 8a9. This stays here. The only time it goes on the bottom is if the exponent is negative. In this case, it is not. Alright, number 17. So it kind of looks like this. So the rule is multiply them. Now you can go ahead and subtract here if you want to. You can also flip-flop them to make them positive. And 15 take away 12 is 3. If you subtract first, you will still get 3. So, and you know it will go at the top, or the with no denominator, because it's positive. Alright, number 18. Hopefully that was all on camera. Number 18, negative 3 to the third power, and then x squared to the third power, so multiply. Negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 27, and x to the sixth power. Again, no negative exponents, so everything could stay where it's at. Take care of coefficients first. And these are both the base 8, so we are going to add. So that is negative 6. We don't like negative exponents, so we plop them to the bottom. The coefficient stays at the top. And then we have 5 to the negative 2 and x to the 8. This does have a negative exponent, so we want to put it at the bottom so it doesn't anymore. And then we can just merely simplify that. Alright, number 21. Write a polynomial in two variables that describes the total area of the region shaded below. Alright, so just remember the area is length times width. In this case, they gave you this. So we can go ahead and multiply that out by foiling. And then I can combine like terms to make it prettier. So that is our polynomial. Alright, 22, simplify the expression negative 8 x to the 0 power. Well, if you remember, x to the 0 equals 1, or anything to the 0. So if we have negative 8 times 1, then our answer is negative 8, which in this case is C. 23, find the product. So don't forget that this just means multiply it twice. So we're going to FOIL. X squared times x squared times 4, 4 times x squared, 4 times 4. And if we simplify it, and then we'll see which one matches. x4, no, x2, so it looks like C is the answer again. 24, evaluate, so we're just going to plug in values for our x and y. And then simplify. So exponents first. Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. 2 times 2 is 4. And then we got 3 multiplication problems. 2 times 2 is 4, times negative 1 is negative 4. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16, which makes this a positive 16. Plus 10 plus 6, and then just left to right, 12 plus 10 plus 6. So we have 22 plus 6, so we have 28. Oops. 28, so that's number 24. And then last one, that's 3 to the 4th power, and x to the 8th power, and x to the 10th power. And we can do 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. And then we subtract these, so it's negative 2, 8 minus 10. And then we want to make it positive. So B is kind of a tricky question because it does mean the same exact thing, but A is our better answer. Alright, if you have any questions, let me know.